Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis Gianoutsos. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Hey, Greg, this podcast is called Leadership is Changing. That's the title. When I talk about that kind of statement, leadership is changing, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it can mean so many different things, I think, and everything's changing every day, right? But I think from what I've seen and felt in leadership, right, every day it seems like leaders are being asked to do more and more. Obviously, right now, we're all doing it remotely, and I think that's going to continue, right? Even after COVID, I think the remote thing's not going to go away. So I think we're going to be asked to do more and more in less and less time and do it remotely when we can't connect with our people face to face. So I think all that's going to work against us in a way. So that part is changing. Well, at the same time, you mentioned it before, the employees on our team are expecting more emotional sensitivity, more connection, more understanding of their world and where they're at and where they want to go and help them getting to that place. Right. So those two things are changing in opposite directions. And I think we need to build skills to be able to build those connections, even if we can't be face to face, to build those connections remotely and to build real relationships with our people, even if we never get to meet them in person.
Yep, totally. And virtually in the virtual world, we're seeing so much of that now, and it's playing out big time. Hey, so the show is called Leadership is Changing. And when I mentioned that, well, what does that mean for you?
I think, technology-wise, the world is continuing to change. Health and wellness, the world is continuing to change. We, in terms of our own bodies, I just had a 52nd birthday. I feel like I'm 52 going on 25. I know you have beat your throat issue and looking spectacular, and you look as fit as ever. You look 10 years younger. And as we age and we're in our 20s and 30s, we're like unstoppable. Like we can work 12-hour days every day of the week and nothing can stop us. And then we get 40s, 50s. And if we don't look and take care of our health and wellness and nutrition, then stress can get to us. And I think over the years, without knowing it, stress has got to me. And so recently I've learned the power of meditation and the power of letting go and the power of release. And that's helped me get through some recent health challenges with GERD or acid reflux that I've learned as a result of stress. So to me, leadership is changing. I think that everybody can talk a big game. Every politician, every Fortune 500 CEO, every world leader, they can talk a big game. And they'll say one thing to one group of people in the morning and something else to a different group of people in the afternoon. And they become this, what do you call that? Camouflage, or they become a chameleon where they just blend in and they say whatever they feel like their constituents or their people want them to say. And I think the way that leadership is changing, especially with social media, and with video and with audio, is that you can't be an ass in one group and then be a savior in another group, because every bit of what you say is recorded. So I think the way that leadership is changing is it's not so much what you say, it's what you do. So to me, leadership is based on deeds or acts of service or who you are. It's not based on what you say or how you present yourself or how you try to show a fake brand. Leadership is not based on words. Leadership is based on actions. And I think that's how leadership is changing.
Yeah, excellent. And the meditation is a great thing, and the power of letting go, just learning how to do that, that is a real great skill to learn for sure. Hey, the show here is called Leadership is Changing. And when I say that statement or the title of the show, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's such an important topic anytime, especially now. I feel like for me, that means that I need to be in tune with what is changing. And not only what is changing, but how am I going to respond to those changes? Because if I wait and do nothing, I'm not meeting the need and demand out there. There's a term I've been hearing more often, and it's called cognitive flexibility. And it's the ability to be flexible to the change, what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about it, and even what you think about it. In other words, it's the ability to change your mind, but also your approaches. And cognitive flexibility is required in many ways throughout the workday and in leadership.
Yep. Okay, so it's really important. The brain is so powerful, and then the brain is also so important in the sense that we as leaders, we've all got brains, and so we need to use them, but also understand where we're at with things at times. And I like what you say there in the relation to actually the way that we respond to change and the way we do it. Because Barbara, what I talk about is that there is a lot of things that are happening in change and it's out of our control. But there are two things that are in our control. One is our attitude and the way we react to it. So that's what you're talking about. And number two would be where we are going next. And I think they're really important things for us to talk about. So I really like what you just shared there.
Yes. And what they found is leaders who do exhibit this cognitive flexibility trait, they can handle those transitions more easily. Not that they're easy, but they can move through them. They can shift between tasks a little bit more in stride and apply learning in one area for greater problem solving.
And would they also be able to, there's that word out there, adapt, pivot, whatever you want to call it. Are they able to do that quicker than others?
Yes, and they have a different view. And so they can apply this to decision making and as well as communication within a team, but also transfer those skills and help them become more aware of how to be more flexible.
Okay. That's great to know. So the show is called Leadership is Changing. When I say that title, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think certain aspects of leadership is not changing, but certain aspects are. If I take example, clarity, leading with purpose, setting the vision, energizing the teams, and respects above and beyond all is not changing. Having an empathy for people is not changing. They are the values which need to last over the decades, over any generation. But what is changing is technology, environment, and acceleration of everything at a global scale and much faster. And anything else around us, leadership has not only to change and adopt, but has to be the energizer of the change. I see also a lot of digital changes around us impacting. Fluidity of talent is another important aspect. Different generations value different things, have diverse perspectives, which is a great thing, but also number of years they would want to stay in the job, in the company, the way things also inspire them are different. Diversity is super important, but also you can say you are diverse, but if you are not necessarily including the diverse opinions, it doesn't mean alone anything else. Also, I think we need to embrace the culture around managing with during the time of ambiguity, and we need to accept the fact that we will learn by failing. We can't have an environment which is not safe to fail and expect innovation out of it. So we need to have a growth mindset and have patience to fail fast, learn fast, rapid prototype, and also give the license for people to fail, beginning with you.
License, wow. So I love that. The thing is, you're talking about diversity and inclusion. Wow. I remember in Hewlett Packard days when you and I were there working together, even though we're in different countries and so forth. And I remember they swapped those two words around and they went to more inclusion and diversity because that's where the focus needed to be, which is one thing. But I love what you're just saying here, that we learn by failing. And I think it's where, as you're saying, where innovation happens. And so fail fast, learn fast, but then have a license to fail. And I think that is awesome, having a license to fail. And when you say a license to fail, what do you mean by that? Just can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. In today's changing world, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results will never bring the differentiation or exceptionally improved result. Only thing you can do is think of creative ways as a team. And there's no stupid idea, of course. And we are so different from each other. And if you have a team with diverse background, with diverse education, and with diverse skill in the previous jobs, they can bring tremendous ideas. If you don't discount and if you take a look at what is the risk of doing it, but also you need to look at what is the risk of not doing it. And when you look at also certain articles and interviews with the people on the deathbed, people are not talking about not working longer hours or not making every day the same routine, but being afraid of change at the time it mattered the most. So you need to be responsible for your own destiny and team's destiny, like a basketball game makers. You need to decide what are the things we will risk doing? What are the things the risk is really too high and too hypothetical and won't bring the results? Because it's the critical thinking that you need to evolve as a team by taking risk and also generate your future successes. Otherwise, doing the same thing will lose the passion. Everyone will become like government offices, which I have full respect, but day in, day out, repetitive task in the ever-changing world is becoming robotics and automation candidates. Nobody wants to do a job which is not exciting, which is repetitive, and which is bound to become boring.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Being afraid of change when it matters the most, and decide as a change maker what risks you should take. I think listeners, Bengu's Fair is sharing with us some fantastic things here, and that's brilliant.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.